This meeting to order, the Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees meeting, November 13th, 2023. Clerk Konecki, please call the roll.
Trustee Alfano. Trustee Cordova.
Here.
Trustee Corkery.
Here.
Trustee Kozar. Trustee Kumar. Here. President, Trustee Patrick.
Here.
President Kazone.
Here. And if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to make the decisions that will affect the staff, directors, and residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen. Okay, we'll go on to item number 3, amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments up here? Okay, seeing none. We have item 4 is public comments on agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up?
No one signed up.
Okay, anyone out there, agenda items?
Hello, Cheryl Tucker. I just have a few questions that I just want to address on item 12. And there's just one line item on there that I'm just a little concerned about, and that is in order to allow the Salt Creek Golf Course to address the capital budget issue, they're seeking relief from the requirements that any revenue above expenses be shared with the Village of Villa Park and Elmhurst. Elmhurst already knows because they manage it. But my concern is, why should the Village of Villa Park give relief to the Salt Creek Golf Course, which is managed by the Elmhurst Park District, and they're not required to inform the Village of Villa Park about any revenue above expenses? Seeing I thought the golf course was a joint ownership. Should not both partners be informed equally on what the revenue and expenses are for the golf course, especially when the Salt Creek Golf Course Board is asking the village to give them money to invest in the golf course to pay down debts for maintenance costs? Does the village board know exactly what those debts are? Seeing the Village of Villa Park, per the contract, I know it says maintenance, but I know that's not what we do. I think we do just clean the parking lot, as that's our part of the maintenance. They hire staff to do the maintenance over there. But Salt Creek Golf Course shares the board. Did they share the board the priority list of the capital needs that they need over there, that they're requesting on? Did they show, I mean, it sounds like to me that Elmhurst Park District can't, or Sugar Creek Golf Course, can't finalize the budget for the golf course without the Village of Villa Park bailing them out again. Or has the board received an explanation of why Salt Creek Golf Course needs this bailout or the money back? I didn't see anything in here, so I'm hoping that the board got more information on it then. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Cheryl. Okay, anyone else on agenda items? Okay, item number 5, public comments on non-agenda items. Anyone signed up? Okay.
Donna.
I just wanted to thank staff for their kind and generous donations to the cancer drive that was held, and a special thanks to Chuck Howard for matching donations. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Chuck. Okay, anyone else? Okay, item 6 is proclamations, the Community Fund Commission Halloween Decoration Awards presentation.
Very good. So
Hold on, I'm in the wrong one.
And then I just hit, what do I hit?
Just hit it. You just step out.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mary from the Community Fund Commission,
Kathy Halloran. Carla Graff.
and we're here for our Halloween Decorating Awards. We had a really good time. We were very, very lucky because the commission went out and looked at houses the Tuesday before Halloween, and unfortunately, Halloween was the worst day ever. So I don't think even the kids went out to trick or treat. So they missed a lot of stuff because a lot of the stuff on the houses, you had to get out of your car and actually go up and look at it and see because they were all hidden inside. So we have this thing, and let's hope it works out. Okay, we had 25 homes that were nominated by the community on the Facebook page or our email page. And the first winner that we have is the LaBoots family, if you'd like to come up. And they were the most bootiful. Let me hit this button here. It's showing up here. And what we loved the most about it was the eyes in the windows, which actually made the house one of the characters as you went by. And another cool thing was as you would just walk by and you'd see the things lit up, and then you'd walk by and then all of a sudden the lights would go on because they had a motion sensor, and you'd be like, whoa. But it was just adorable, and we thought that it deserved an award this year.
Thank you so much.
So this is your award here.
Oh my goodness.
I need the addresses. I need the address.
And also you got
No, that needs to have
some gift
So they give it out.
certificates from Highview.
Otherwise it
So
doesn't matter.
everyone knows where Highview is, wonderful little family restaurant. So enjoy
Oh
that.
my gosh.
So congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. I am so proud. I finished her.
I guess I got too far ahead, but we already went through that. And the second thing that we had, category we had, was the scariest. And our winner for that is the Lavala family. If you'd like to come up and get your award. I'd like to mention, too, that these bags were things that were left over from our fall event, and we just happened to find them laying on a picnic table when we were cleaning up, so they worked perfectly for you folks. So this is your award, and you get to put that on your table every year, and your name is on the back. There you go. And you get a gift certificate from Villa Park Auto Clinic, $25, so that's half a oil change, so there you go. I would take it. That's a local business on St. Charles. So congratulations, thank you for taking the time. Thank you all for taking the time to nominate people and to decorate your houses, because it was a hard decision, because there were huge amount of people that really pay a lot of attention and have a lot of fun. I hope they had fun. And that's it. I just wanted to make one more comment that we have room for one more commissioner and one more junior commissioner on our fun commission. And we really do have a lot of fun, and hopefully we make Villa Park more fun too. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for all your hard work. Okay, move on to item 7, the consent agenda. And we're going to ask, does anyone want any of the items on the consent agenda removed tonight? Okay, seeing none. Item A is approval of the minutes from the village board regular meeting held October 23rd, 2023, and minutes from Coffee with the Board meeting held November 4th, 2023. The bill listing from the weeks of October 23rd, October 30th, and November 6th, 2023, in a total amount of $2,659,765.95. We're approving a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Village of Villa Park and the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council, the patrol officers, extending the President's Day holiday for employees covered under the collective bargaining agreement for calendar years 2024 and 2025. Staff recommends approval of the resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a memorandum of understanding that adds the President's Day holiday for each year to the end of the current CBA, the collective bargaining agreement that expires April 30th, 2025. We're approving a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Village of Villa Park and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council 31, AFL-CIO, Local 964, extending the President's Day holiday for employees covered under the collective bargaining agreement for calendar years 2024, 25, and 26, and approving a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Village of Villa Park and the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council, the Sergeants, extending the President's Day holiday for employees covered under the collective bargaining agreement for calendar years 2024 and 2025. Do we have a motion for these consent agenda? Trustee Kumar?
I will make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Cordova, any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Cassell?
Yes. Okay, item 8, the first reading of an ordinance to be codified. It's an ordinance amending Section 3-13A of the Municipal Code of the Village of Villa Park in order to decrease by 1 the maximum number of licenses permitted under the Class AAA liquor license classification and increase by 1 the maximum number of liquor licenses under the Class AA liquor license classification. Manager Harline.
At the business at 339 East Kenilworth, the Divine Wine Bar currently holds a Class AAA liquor license, which allows the sale of beer and wine only. The owner has requested to change to a Class AA license for the sale of alcoholic liquors for consumption on premise and the sale of any alcoholic liquors at retail in original packages for consumption off premise. There are currently no available Class AA liquor licenses, so the board would need to approve the attached ordinance, increasing the number of available licenses under Class A. Staff recommends the approval of this ordinance. Because this is a change in the municipal code, our tradition says the ordinance would require 2 readings unless waived by a vote of the board.
Okay, thank you. Okay, since this is a first reading, unless someone wants to make a motion to waive it, Trustee Kumar,
I would like to make a motion to waive the
the first reading.
first reading, yes.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Corkery? Any questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, please. This is to waive the first reading.
Okay, Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Cassell?
Yes. Okay, so with that, do we have a motion for the ordinance itself? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Trustee Cordova?
I'll second.
Second? Okay. Questions or comments? Trustee Kumar?
I think they're doing a great job as a business out there, and I just hope to continue. We met the owner, I think, recently, and
Yes.
I'm extremely happy
Yeah,
to see this
yeah,
go
it's-
through.
It's a nice little place of business there. She's doing a nice job there, so. Okay, any other questions? Hey, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Cassell?
Yes. Okay, we're going on to ordinances, and items 9A through 9I are similar ordinances. This was just a cleanup of ordinances, adding, most of them, I think, are PUDs, and the actual underlying zoning was not really defined in the PUD, so these were brought up at the last, or 2 planning and zoning meetings ago, and it's just a cleanup of the ordinance itself. They're all similar, and if someone wants to make a motion that we can vote on all of them at the same time, I'll entertain that. Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make the motion that we combine 9A through 9I.
Aye. Yeah.
into one vote.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second? Trustee Cordova?
Yep.
Okay,
Just to clarify, that's the motion to approve
correct.
9A through 9I.
Yeah, that's the vote, right?
Yes.
yeah, okay. Then we still have to vote on them all.
Correct.
Correct, okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Trustee Patrick?
I'd just like to thank Director McLaughlin for doing this. A lot of this is really tedious work that needs to get done, but I appreciate the efforts going in there and doing this. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, Clerk Konecki, this is to combine items 9A through 9I in one vote,
Yes.
to approve 9A through 1.
Okay, trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, so now we will vote on the ordinances themselves, items 9A through 9I.
Okay.
Okay,
I apologize. That's,
Okay.
I was clarifying so that the motion was to approve 9A through 9I, but if
Oh,
you
okay.
wanted to take it in two separate,
Okay.
so that it was a motion to combine,
okay,
and now
Yeah, that's what I
you'll
thought.
do the
Okay.
motion to
Yeah.
approve. That's fine.
okay. All right, cool. Okay, do we have a motion on that? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, we have a second? Trustee Kumar?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments? I'd like to reiterate what Trustee Patrick said. Thanks, Director McLaughlin. This is kind of a tedious, and planning and zoning kind of went through it pretty quickly too, so it's not a major issue, but it's just tedious, so thank you for doing that. Okay, Clerk Konecki?
Okay, trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, move on to item 9J, is an ordinance approving a water purchase and sale contract with the DuPage Water Commission and contract customers. Manager Holly.
The proposed ordinance would authorize the village president to extend the contract with the DuPage Water Commission and contract customers to purchase potable water for the village of Villa Park. The original contract is set to expire in February 24, 2024, and the new contract is needed to continue the purchase of water. Staff recommends passage of this ordinance. The Public Works Director, Mike Guerra, who represented us at the meeting with the DuPage Water Commission as our proxy, is in the audience. Also, we have one of the commissioners for the 13-member board is Nick Cazone. He's here. And if you have any questions, please ask them now. This is making sure that we stay as a part of the purchasing group with the DuPage Water Commission. There's a separate issue under the resolutions, which we'll get to, that's related to this. And there's also some information in the packet about that.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion on the ordinance? Trustee Corkery? We have a second? Trustee Kumar, any questions or comments? Trustee Patrick?
I just want, and forgive my ignorance on this as well. Mr. President, I believe, aren't you a member of the DuPage Water Commission?
Yes, I'm a commissioner, yeah.
Okay, my question is there any potential for conflict of interest with authorizing you to do this?
No, because the president or mayor of the municipality is the one that has to approve it. There are several mayors that are on the commission too, so I don't think it's a conflict, but I think it has to be signed by a authority of the village.
Okay, that was just my question. I apologize.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Clerk Konecki, please.
Okay, trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, item 9K is an ordinance providing for the issuance of a general obligation limited tax bonds, Series 2023 of the village, and for the levy of a direct annual tax to pay the principal and interest on such bonds. Manager Harline.
Annually, the village sells bonds for the purpose of providing funds to pay debt service on the village's general obligation refund bonds, alternative revenue source, Series 2017, and general obligation bonds, alternative revenue source, Series 2022A. These alternate revenue bonds are funded by rollover bonds issued each fall, which are paid back using our non-home rule debt service extension base, or DSEB. The DSEB capacity provides some additional funding for capital purchases, such as vehicles and building improvements. The rollover bonds were competitively bid on November 9. A favorable rate was received for the total aggregate principal amount of $726,500. Staff recommends approval of this ordinance, and we have in our audience Anthony Maselli, who can give you more direction about the sale and the purpose of the DSEB bonds, and we also have our Finance Director, Chuck Howard, who can answer questions as well.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Kumar?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, you have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Cordova? Okay, any questions or comments from the board first? And, hey, Mr. Maselli, if you'd like to just kind of give an explanation to the, to our residents on exactly what we're doing here.
Absolutely. And Village Manager did a great job of summarizing the purpose of the bonds. I'll just mention that. So the village as a non-home rule unit of government, in order to issue non-referendum general obligation bonds, you're subject to two limits. You're subject to a limit on how much you can levy every year. That's your debt service extension base. And then you're subject to how much you can have outstanding in general obligation, non-referendum general obligation bonds. It's your non-referendum debt limit, equal to 0.5% of your equalized assessed value. For that reason, when you have large capital projects and you issue alternate revenue source bonds, which are not subject to those limits, a lot of times non-home rule municipalities such as yourself will issue those bonds and then pay them with the annual issuance of limited tax bonds such as these. So that's why we issue these every year. They're to provide funds for the 2017 bonds and the 2022 bonds, so they provide that funding source for that debt service. And then we use the remaining amount above what we need for those two bond issues to pay for capital. So in this case, we put the bonds out for bid last Thursday. The final amount of the bonds was $726,500. We received 5 bids. Best bid was from Republic Bank out of Oak Brook at a 4.46%. So with the proceeds of that bond, again, a portion of it is going to pay the December payment for the 2017 bonds. A portion of it will pay the 22A bonds, and then approximately $226,000 will be for annual capital. And we'll continue to do that annually to continue to pay off those 22 and 17 bonds until they mature. That happy to answer your questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay. Trustee Kumar?
I'm just happy to see a good rate, even in the economic times we're in.
Yeah, those weren't too bad, good. Great. Thank you, appreciate it, very good explanation.
For the record, I read what Suzanne wrote down, so my contribution was reading.
I mean, it was like dozens of pages.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, if no further questions, Clerk Konecki, please.
Yes, Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes. Okay, we move on to resolutions. Item 10A, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an engineering services agreement with Civil Tech Engineering, Inc. of Itasca, Illinois, for Phase 2 design engineering of the Villa Avenue Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $499,661.83. Manager Hotline.
Thank you, President Casone. The following resolution would authorize the village president to enter into an engineering services agreement with Civil Tech Engineering of Itasca, Illinois for the Phase 2 designing and engineering of Villa Avenue Improvement Project in the amount not to exceed $499,661.83. The Villa Avenue Improvement Project proposes a pavement rehabilitation of Villa Avenue from Wildwood to Illinois 63, or North 64. It was on discount. Illinois 64 North Avenue with the addition of a shared use path. Funding is planned out of Fund 60.502.10.292. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance, of the resolution.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, we have a second. Trustee Kumar?
I will second that motion.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Trustee Kumar?
I'm just happy they'll pay me. Okay, it's good to get more walkways, more areas, so on and so forth. Villa Avenue, very important to our new community and the development that's coming just makes it easier.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
President Casal.
Yes. Okay, item 10B is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, estimating the tax levy for 2023 in compliance with the truth in taxation law. Manager Harling.
The tax levy process begins with the estimating resolution, and final levy ordinance will be considered for adoption in December. The village tax is tax capped, so the majority of the levy can increase by the lesser of the consumer price index, or 5%. This resolution estimates an overall increase to the village and library tax levies of 5% after all abatements. The final levy amounts may be lowered by DuPage County in accordance with the tax caps. The proposed resolution would cause a slight decrease in the overall village and library tax rate for the coming year. Staff recommends approval of the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Cordova. We have a second? Trustee Corkery? Any questions or comments? Trustee Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I've had a couple of discussions with some of the trustees, and I think we just need a little bit of clarification on, I know that there comes a time where we have to vote whether or not this will increase taxes or not. I don't believe that this is the vote that we do that on. Is that correct? And then also, it states that a slight decrease in the overall village and library tax rate for the coming year. So does that essentially mean that we will not be raising taxes with this?
Correct. We'll raise more revenue, but we won't be raising the rate because the increase in the amount, the assessed value, and the amount that we would take in, because of inflation, basically, we are not having, we cannot, in fact, we have to reduce the rate slightly, or we'd exceed the 5% tax cap in total revenue taken in.
So then our residents should not be expecting a tax increase, but rather a possible decrease?
For the rate charged by the village, but if there are other taxing entities that raise it, I don't want to get, if they get a higher tax bill total, but if they look at the line that says the Village of Villa Park, that should be lower, slightly lower next year.
Okay.
Yeah, because the decrease in the rate is just based on the EAV, the equalized assessed valuation. So if that goes up too much, as inflation hits,
right.
If the EAV goes up too much, and if your tax rate stays the same, you're actually going to be charging more than 5% of a total increase.
Yeah.
So then what's the benefit of us passing this tonight?
Well, this, okay.
No, go ahead.
Actually, I'm going to, Chuck Howard looks like he can give you a better answer than I can, so I'll just.
Thank you.
The reason why, thank you. The reason why we need to pass this now is because we have to have this in place 20 days before we adopt it. And so we need the time to make sure that you have time to review it, and we have time to get this approved at this level. So I think it's 20 days, so it's about that time.
So essentially in 20 days from now, it'll come back to us for final approval?
It's going to come back.
Okay.
With the actual rate.
With the actual rates and the actual.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarification.
And Attorney Wolf says it will come back as an ordinance, not a resolution.
Okay.
That's an
Thank
estimated
you.
resolution.
And because we're not going past the tax cap, we do not have to have a public hearing on this particular item this year because.
Trustee Kumar.
And so we're kind of taking the max we can, which is the 5%, which we do every year as a possibility, but the determination, it comes to us with the real rate from DuPage County. Am I correct?
Right.
Right.
They for certain classifications of our levy, they cap us. So that all comes from the county. And overall, the PTEL rate is a 5% because CPI is so much higher.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova,
Yes.
President Casal.
Yes. Item 10C is a resolution authorizing a contract for customer service management software with GoGov. Manager Harline.
The village investigated several citizen request management or CRM software options and chose GoGov as the best overall value. Since this is a professional service, formal bidding requirements do not apply. Village staff is recommending approval of the resolution directing the village manager to enter into an agreement with GoGov, Inc. for subscription for the first year and ArcGIS integration in the amount of $11,560. That would be an annual amount. We looked at, like I said, 3 different types of software. This was not only the best, but the cheapest. It will work hand in glove with our current ArcGIS system and also has integrations already established with 2 of the 4 asset management systems we're looking at, and will be integrated about the same time we're putting in the new ERP system. So we believe we'll get a full integration, and we'll be able to get, we're hoping it works well, and we think it will. Both companies have not yet talked to each other, but you'll be able to call in, they'll be able to put the item into the, type it into the preset drop-down menu of standard calls, or type in a new one if it's something different, and that will enter into the task management system in the ERP system as well. So they will work together, and they can send out requests for service to the different departments, and we can track the number and rate or the quickness of resolving questions that come in from the citizens. Eventually, it is possible to open this up to citizens to make requests directly, but we want to make sure the system's working before we do that. So,
Okay, good, thank you. You do have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, you have a second? Trustee Kumar? Any questions or comments? Trustee Kumar?
You said that eventually it'll open up, and I understand taking some time, but how do you plan on opening up? I honestly think calling in seems like an archaic method of making requests, and that we should have an online method, because then you can reach anybody at any time in a more efficient manner. I just feel that that's not how I deal with my electric problem, so why would I deal with that with the village problem? So I'm trying to, I'm very, very happy we are implementing something. I just want to know what the methodology is going to be to communicate with the village. If it's still telephone, that seems a little archaic. I'm just...
well, we already have a system in place, and we would leave that in place until we replace it. However, that system on our website right now simply sends an email to a couple of email addresses, and then it has to be sent on. This will supplant that eventually. The phone calls, and I'm sure there are people who always want to call in. There's some people who just prefer that. But the idea is, once we have the system working, and I'm thinking somewhere between 6 months and a year, that we would then open it up, and instead of having what we have now, which is an email goes to a couple of email addresses, they then have to forward that email, and then it's in an email system. It either is or is not acted upon at that point quickly. This would go into an automated system that would be sent out to the person or persons who are most directly responsible for that type of task immediately, and it would skip some steps. It would also have a ability to remind you if the time turnaround is about so the idea is to make sure that system's working well before we open that up. You will still be able to email stuff in, or just still be able to enter stuff in until we get this open to the public. But this will be a better system, and it will be a better system for call-in referral and tracking immediately.
So it's eventually going to get all consolidated into one system, or we're going to have multiple systems here still?
It's all going to be integrated into one system. That would be
Okay,
the
because
idea.
that was my biggest concern, because I don't think we should have multiple systems and multiple configurations, because that just causes confusion.
Right.
Actually, I see a lot of the things, people don't even know what to reply to sometimes on that. I've got that message, like, which of these things do I do I pull from online to make either this type of complaint or that type of complaint? Because there's a lot online right now. I would like a more universal system, and if this is going to work to be that universal system, I'm for it, certainly.
Right. And when you call in, and so, yeah, so if you email in now, we'll transfer it into this system, but it will be it'll be a bridge step until we get it, until we turn it live to the public. But yes, we already know that this will integrate with our ArcGIS system. We already know that it integrates directly with 2 of the 4 different kinds of asset management system we're working with. It is a small, agile company, and so we believe that that they are very interested in making things work. I don't know if they work out of a SQL Server database or a Progress database or whatever, but my assumption is that they'll be able to integrate with the BSNA system. And as soon as we can make that so work orders are immediately generated from the original system, or you come up with some bridge for that, then we will have pretty much a seamless system. We haven't done that yet, but that is our
End goal.
Our end goal, and we think it's I think they've done it with other ERP softwares, just they haven't worked with BSNA. But.
Okay, any other questions? Trustee Cordova?
This is just to funnel in complaints and in issues, correct? This isn't going to be anything with payment?
No, but when the ERP system, we already do take online payments in some places. The ERP system that we're adding should make that easier, and we should reduce, I think we're using 2 different online credit card systems. When we get that system in, which we are already starting the implementation, that will reduce. We'll only be using, I think we'll be down to just the 1 credit card system. So these 2 should work well together. The nice thing is that this will make it easier to track those requests, and that we, make it easier. It is hard to follow a request if it comes in email. It's much easier if you have a system like this where it's designed to track those work orders.
Yeah, I think, last. Yeah. The other piece is we own the data. I was going through this a little bit. Customers owned, or the data is owned by the customer, so trends or whatever we would need, we'll have easy access to that, so cool.
Yep. Trustee Kumar?
The integration between it says first year, is it a permanent ongoing integration with this cost or whatever, or is it a one-time integration cost, or how is that going to be?
So that includes the first year where they will have to do the integration. So that will continue. Once it's integrated, it continues to work with the GI. It doesn't have to be reintegrated.
Yeah, but wouldn't there be an extra cost in it for the integration process, or is it just bundled in over,
They give us a pretty good rate and they bundled that in. They kind of excuse that.
I just want to know, so then if the integration doesn't work in the first year, or if there's some problem, they will continue to support our integration efforts?
Yes, but we know that they work with the same GIS system that we work with, so we don't anticipate that to be a problem.
Okay.
Actually had a chance to meet the guys at, what's interesting is the guy that our contact with GoGov is named Kevin, and so is the one at BSNA, and they were both at Austin, and I started talking to the wrong Kevin about the other contract for a minute before I stopped and said, oh wait, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So yeah, it was nice to meet both organizations there. Really, I think we've picked 2 companies that aren't so big that we won't get lost in the shuffle. So I think staff did an excellent job working on this.
Okay, cool. Anything else? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Item 10D is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a final change order number 1 to the contract with R.W. Dunteman Company of Addison, Illinois, for construction of the Michigan and Vermont Improvement Project for a net deduction in the amount of $178,027.08. Manager Harline.
These are the kind of change orders we like to bring you. The village has a contract with R.W. Dunteman Company of Addison, Illinois, in the amount of $1,496,000 $30 for the construction of the Michigan and Vermont Improvement Project, which has been completed. Proposed final change order number 1 consists of the final balancing of contract quantities as measured in the field. The net amount of the proposed final change order number 1 is a deduction in the amount of $178,027.08 for an adjusted contract amount of $1,318,002.92. Staff recommends approval of this change order, and Public Works Director Michael Guerra is here if you have any questions about the project. I think it went really well and good, well-managed contract.
Good, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Kumar.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second. Trustee Patrick. Questions or comments? Trustee Kumar.
Why the change order? What happened so well? Just like to know.
You definitely get to take credit for this one, so go ahead.
No, this one, we had a good Phase 3. Actually, the next two had really good Phase 3s on there that were able to stay on top of the contract really well. I think with both of them, just to answer the question for the next one as well, is there's a lot of underground that we were able to save some money on. A lot of it was with the water services, with the Lead Service Replacement Act that came into effect. Obviously, we were budgeting a lot more in case we encounter lead lines. Fortunately, on these two projects, I don't think we encountered any on this project. In the next one, we encountered very few, which is significant savings of having to replace those. And then additionally, we look for possibility changes in the field to try to minimize. I think in this one, the credit is we actually did replace all the sidewalk with this location, I believe, as well, design with Monterey. So we're able to incorporate some of those positive changes with some of these deductions and still come out ahead. I'd like to say all of them can come this way, but I don't think they will. We might have a few different coming later.
Well, very good. Nice job. Any other questions or comments? Clerk Konecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Casson.
Yes. Okay, item 10E is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a final change order number 2 to the contract with Benchmark Construction Company, Inc. of Bartlett, Illinois, for construction of the Washington Sewer Separation Project, Phase 1, also known as the Monterey Avenue Project, Washington to Park, for a net deduction in the amount of $692,391.56. Manager Harley.
The village has a contract with Benchmark Construction, Inc. of Bartlett, Illinois, in the amount of $5,034,324.79 for the construction of the Washington Sewer Separation Project, Phase 1, also known as the Monterey Avenue Improvement Project from Washington to Park. Proposed final change order number 2 consists of the final balancing of contract quantities as measured in the field. The net amount of proposed final change order number 2 is a deduction in the amount of $692,391.56 for an adjusted final contract amount of $4,341,933.23. Staff recommends approval of this change order, and if you remember, the original change order was pretty substantial. This actually brings the project back in under the original budget. So, and we had some, I don't know if Michael wants to add to this, but we had some really nice things said about Benchmark. I think that it was a good project and well executed. That's it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Okay, do we have a motion on the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, we have a second. Trustee Cordova? Questions or comments? Trustee Cordova?
I mean, 692,000 and then another 178,000. It's great. So luck or great management, either way, we'll take some credit, right? So that's a lot. So,
yeah.
Good job.
Definitely. And I agree with Major Harline, and we got a lot of nice comments from residents about that construction project, went smooth and very few interruptions on people's daily lives, so they did a nice job out there. Okay. Any other further comments? Clerk Konecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Casson.
Yes. Item 10F is a resolution approving an extension of the water supply contract between the DuPage Water Commission and the City of Chicago. Manager Harline.
To approve the resolution for the DuPage Water Commission to extend the contract with the city of Chicago for this resolution is to approve the extension of the contract with the city of Chicago for the supply of potable water for a period of not less than 15 years and not more than 20 years. This extension will allow DuPage Water Commission the necessary time to evaluate the alternative options for a new water contract with the city. Public Works Director Guerra is here, and it might be, I think it's actually I'll let you guys go ahead and open up the discussion, but I think it'd be valuable if he gave you a little bit of a sort of an overview of the link, why 15 to 20 years is actually a short-term contract extension and the importance of that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Kumar, we have a second. Trustee Corkery? Okay. Yeah, Director Guerrero.
President Kazone may know a little bit more than I, but what this is a resolution is we're a member of DuPage Water Commission, so they purchased the water from Chicago. That contract is coming up in March of 2024, hence why we had the contract with them for February previously. They're exploring several different options as all the residents have felt the rate increases the last several years by Chicago, which is then passed through DWC, which is then passed through us. And they've been exploring options to ways to get a better contract. Surprise, surprise, the contract negotiations aren't going all that well, which is why they were looking for an extension on the existing contract, as that's an allowable clause in their contract with Chicago, to extend it up to another 40-year period. They do not wish to seek a 40-year period because they're looking at alternatives. Specifically, Joliet is coming online. They just entered into a new agreement with Joliet for wholesale water purchase. In our contract, ours meaning DuPage Water Commissions, they have a favorable nations clause, which means if there's a lower rate, they automatically get it. Believe me if I'm wrong, but they believe 2030 to 2032 is the probably realistic timeframe that Joliet might come online. So they want enough time to see what that occurs with Joliet coming online to their system for that rate. Additionally, they're exploring other options in terms of acquiring their own water supply and inlet into the Great Lakes. So that would be building their own pipeline to get an inlet into Lake Michigan to provide for the treatment of water for DuPage water customers, which has some obviously gigantic costs associated with it, but there could be some long-term benefit. So therefore, they're proposing to move forward with just an extension of the existing contract. I believe, if I'm wrong, they were trying to negotiate wholesale a little bit sooner. Chicago was agreeable to that, but not set anything really in stone, is my understanding. And then secondly, they're trying to get a little bit more control over our pump station from Chicago. We have pretty much one station that is solely for DuPage Water Commission, but Chicago still has control over it. And so those were kind of their two sticking points. And so what they've asked every member is to pass a resolution to approve them to unilaterally enter into that agreement with Chicago on behalf of the commission, but they haven't finalized through the commission and through its members to let us know, and we can pass that information back to the board because it ties to our water contract that we just previously approved. Is that pretty much?
That's it. You got it. Okay.
The one thing that is, our current rate is the same rate as somebody turns on the tap in Chicago. That's the rate that DuPage Water starts at and then is added on to. So that is above what is usually considered normal for surface, what's the
Service costs, yeah.
Service costs.
Pretty much wholesale costs, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting retail instead of wholesale, is, to put it in layman's terms, which.
And that's part of the negotiation is what they call cost of service. Joliet is getting a cost of service price that's about almost half of what the DuPage Water Commission is getting. And so that's been a sticking point. And then, like our Director Guerrero said, we have favored nation clause, so that if Joliet does go online and starts getting that lower rate, we should get the lower rate. However, the attorneys will be getting involved and probably be a big lawsuit on that. So that's why, the DuPage Water Commission is looking at alternative sources, getting their own cribs out in the lake and new pumps or new system, so it's a big project. But- Okay. Trustee Kumar?
I'm just happy to see that they are negotiating. I mean, the rates are ridiculous for us, and that we should be doing a lot better. I mean, it's not, we should be negotiating one way or another or changing our system. Water rates have just been increasing above and beyond what it is.
And DuPage Water Commission is the city of Chicago's largest source of revenue,
Yeah,
basically. so.
having family getting water from other sources, I'm realizing how expensive our water really is compared to other sources in like Rockford and other places.
Trustee Patrick?
Will the commission be evaluating, because a project like that, to put your own pumps and everything in there, it's a big undertaking.
Oh, yeah.
Are they going to be evaluating the cost associated with that and how that reflects to the residents, and whether or not that cost is equivalent to the increase or decrease of what Joliet is getting on their rate?
Yeah, they've started their engineering investigation on that right now. Assuming like a 3% increase by Chicago over the next 40 years, even at the cost of the project with the loans they would have to take out, it would still, at the end of a 40-year cycle, it would probably save the commission about $1 billion,
Okay.
as long as costs all stay the same, but it's about a $2 or $3 billion project. And the idea too is coming in from the north, like near Evanston, and taking water and then possibly getting other customers
Along the way.
that are buying from the city of Chicago, the Northwest Water Commission and the Northwest Joint Water JWAC, I forget what all the acronyms on that. But there's a potential of getting other customers, and then also coming down the line, maybe picking up some other municipalities along the way.
Excellent.
So that's all being, the engineering on it's probably going to be 3-4 years.
Yeah,
So hence the 15 to 20-year contract.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
No, it was just a comment of, I would love to have a deeper conversation offline about
Sure.
cribs. I mean, I was flipping through this, it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So yeah, I would definitely be interested in talking about this a little bit more.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Clerk Konecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes. Okay, move on to item 11, unfinished business. I don't believe we have any unfinished. Item 12A is a discussion of forgiving the debt of the Sugar Creek Golf Course to the village. Manager Harline.
Yes. Staff is seeking direction from the Board of Trustees on how to proceed regarding the adoption of the FY 2024 budget for the Sugar Creek Golf Course in order to allow Sugar Creek Golf Course to address capital budget issues that they are seeking, from which they are seeking relief. The requirement that any revenues above expenses be shared with the village of, and the current requirement that any revenues above expenses be shared with the village of Villa Park and Elmhurst Park District equally. No action is necessary by the board unless there's an objection to forgiving the payment of excess revenues in 2024. There is a larger issue here, and both Finance Director Chuck Howard, Greg, Parks and Rec Director, and our representative on the Sugar Creek Golf Course, Greg Gola, and I, and also myself can address some of the questions if you would like, that you may have. In the packet that we sent out, there's a 5-year plan for what they want to do with the money to update some capital needs. The revenue, we're asking for a 1-year pass right now so that they can start making these investments back in the golf course. Over the next year or so, we need to make a larger discussion about, first, are we going to forgive it's not exactly a loan or a debt, but we spent $159,231 on the rec parking lot. We spent another $247,000 on the Sugar Creek Creek restoration. And then there's a bond payment that is out there that we own $178,500 worth on. So those items, if we did not make them essentially pay us back on those, if we basically wrote off that debt, their books would look better. But we have to talk to our auditors about what that looks like on our end. We don't have an answer for that right now today. So what we're basically asking is to give them some space, give them a chance to make some of these, plow some money back into the capital needs of the golf course, and we can come back to you next year or down the line when we have a more detailed answer. One of the things that Elmhurst Park District wanted to know is if we were going to make this, if they were going to agree to it from their side, because they're the administrative, they supply the administration of the golf course on a day-to-day basis, or the financial maintenance of the financial administration of the golf course on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. For of course, there's on-site staff that's day-to-day operation that belongs only to Sugar Creek Golf Course. But their owed debt is about twice ours. So what they would want, in case this was approved, that some clause be included that if the golf course ever were to be sold, that their amount would come back to them, possibly with interest over time, and our amount would come back to us with the same, level of interest over time, and then the rest of the proceeds would be divided 50-50. So that is an issue that needs to be sorted out between now and when we make a final decision about it. But for next year, we'd just like to forgive any revenues over expenses.
Trustee Kumar.
I have a lot of iffy questions about this. It is extremely, seems a little unclean and not where I would want to vote on it at this point. There's a couple of things that are bothering me. One, we don't know the usage rate of their residents versus our residents. I'd want to know that before. If they're having more debt and their residents are using the golf course more than ours, then that's their debt because their residents are utilizing it. It's kind of not an equal usage necessarily. We don't know how it's used, and it's kind of a funky thing that we actually owned this golf course for years and that it's now in Elmhurst's hands. It's not something that makes me happy, honestly. And so I need to actually look at the detailed things before I vote on anything. I'm actually wanting to put this off. Oh, wait, we don't have to make a decision, right? This is just a discussion.
We don't, but.
Yeah, I would rather, I want to have a deeper conversation on this before I actually make it. I have to look at all the details of it. A lot of times it's like a nonprofit that's run that if you're spending money on things not necessarily that are beneficial to the whole public at large, because there is money, the revenues and things can mess up our whole tax book. So I think you should, be a little careful. That's my opinion. And so I don't want to make a comment on it till I look at all the details very carefully. I haven't had the time to do that, honestly.
Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. I share some of the same concerns as Trustee Kumar. There's a lot more that I would like to know about as well. First of all, I know that budgeting can be a tricky issue. We are starting to go through it here at the village ourselves. It's a process. So I would like to know more about the challenges that this budget in particular has faced in the past, and why we're seeing these deficits now. And I also agree that I think I would like to have a little bit more in-depth conversations as to the intricacies between some of these things before I am able to make a decision on that as well.
Just real quickly, so these items are, the village made contributions or did some work for the Sugar Creek Golf Course. Elmhurst has done items for the Sugar Creek Golf Course. We have a intergovernmental agreement that describes how revenues are shared. So we can share that information with you, but there really isn't. The budgeting process for Sugar Creek Golf Course is pretty standard and it is transparent to the point that anybody knows that they have a separate operation, but it's certainly available for anybody who wants to look at it. So they run a transparent organization like we do. These items right here, they're not able to pay them back, obviously, in 1 year. What they're simply asking is that the revenues over expenses, instead of being directed towards paying off these items that it's not even these investments that the Village of Villa Park and Elmhurst Park District have made, to not make that the highest priority. Instead, they'd like to make put their priority on the capital investments to maintain a good golf course, because they put a lot of them off paying off some previous loans.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions on these too, and we talked a little bit about this before, but we're not writing off this entire amount, correct?
No, we're not. No, that's just
It's just they're delaying payment on it to us,
essentially, yes.
but they will still owe us, the Sugar Creek Golf Course will still owe us all of this money.
They are. Greg, do you want to address the amount of? I mean, there's not like a promissory note out there per se. Can you describe he can describe the relationship better. Greg serves on the board.
Thank you. Good evening. So the last several years, actually, when COVID hit, it was a boom to the golf industry. So the golf course has been making money the last several years. Prior to that, in the early 2000s, 2010, the golf course wasn't making any money, and so Elmhurst Park District as the administrative body, they were covering the operational costs because the golf course wasn't making money. After COVID, everybody got into golf, so now the golf course is making money. The problem was that when Elmhurst was covering those operational costs, so they were basically loaning the golf course money to cover those operations. Though the Village of Villa Park, the parking lot was in serious need of renovations, so we took that on as Public Works was doing the street project, so we tied that in. So there was some money owed to us for that, the parking lot pavement, resurfacing, the cart paths, so we took some of those costs on. So Manager Harline, you can get into it a little bit more about that history if you want, or if you want me to, I can. But when the golf course wasn't making any money, they were in a trick bag. They weren't making any capital improvements. They weren't purchasing any equipment. They were using old equipment. And so this would help the golf course buy more equipment by forgiving some of that debt. If I explained that correctly.
Yeah, I understand, but you've explained it to me about 5 times, so I've got it now. But.
Is Elmhurst, are they delaying payments of themselves too?
Yeah, so the one portion is the debt forgiveness for both entities, and then using the proceeds then to get put back into the golf course.
Yeah. I'm okay with forgiving some of that, and as long as it's going into maintenance, as long as it's an equal 50-50, because, I mean, you've been around a long time with this, and you know that we've had some issues with Elmhurst Park District. I just want to make sure that whatever we do, it's done equitably. Trustee Kumar.
Elmhurst has such a big budget compared to us. I feel like it's, the whole thing doesn't seem right to me, even 50/50. The village, I mean, we have a budget, we have our expenses. I feel as a village, we have to understand our limitations. We're not here for freebie service and help the world. I mean, a golf course is getting better. According to him, it's making money. And I really trust Manager Gola. So why are we, forgiving? To me, it's unfathomable that we're forgiving any amount of money or if forgiving in the first place. I can see delaying payment for certain expenses, but I do not believe I want to forgive a penny of what is owed, because if you cannot run something efficiently, you should not run it. It should not be run in the long run. So if we want it to run efficiently, irrespective. So I wouldn't suggest forgiving it. I can see delaying payment for some time until they get their books in order. That's all I can say, and, things pick up to that level.
Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. Again, I share some of the same concerns as Trustee Kumar, and I think this warrants a deeper conversation. And I understand the history of what you said, but if a golf course isn't doing well, why are we making big expenses? I think that comes down to how their budget has been managed in the past and how it's managed now. Now, I understand the influx of people coming to the golf course and how COVID kind of essentially boomed that. But I think, again, it warrants a deeper discussion about why we got to the point we are today and how it was managed prior in the past, and how are we going to do things differently, because this, in my opinion, is abnormal and should not happen.
10 years ago, with the previous manager, we started looking more closely at the budget. We asked them to be more conservative on their budgeting process. There was, and this, I don't know the dates exactly, but probably in the 90s or so, they did a clubhouse renovation, and they also they bought land just to the east where they did the driving range. So there was the Elmhurst Park District incurred the debt for the clubhouse renovation, and the village incurred the debt for the driving range. So every year, it was roughly $250,000 that the golf course per entity. So they would, at the end of the year, they would have to pay Villa Park the $250,000 for the debt. Is that correct, Chuck? And so those monies were paid back, excuse me, I misspoke. The golf course would pay those debts. They would pay the debt on the driving range, and they would pay the debt on the clubhouse renovation. And then whatever was left over, if it was $50,000, $100,000, they would split it with both entities. Because we weren't able to purchase any equipment, or the golf course wasn't able to, whatever was left over at the end of the budget year, if they needed a fairway mower and they had the funds, they would purchase the fairway mower. So now, last year, those debts were retired. So I think Elmhurst, I can't speak for them, but one of their ideas was, instead of getting paid $50,000 a year from the golf course for 20 years or whatever, however it works out, that they were proposing to retire or forget about the debt that the golf course owed them, and they were requesting that the village forget about the debt that the golf course owed the village. And then, that way, there would be money available. That's something that they were proposing.
Yeah, as long as it's equal.
The golf course owes Elmhurst about twice as much as they owe us.
And Elmhurst Park District, just to make sure, it's not
Not the village,
city
yeah,
of
Elmhurst
Elmhurst,
Park District.
yeah.
You're right.
It's a separate entity.
Trustee Cordova?
So there's a capital improvement plan here for the next 10 years, which is wonderful to see. It's $4 million over the next 10 years from 2024 to 2033. This budget, oh my God, I lost it. This budget is almost $600,000 that they're looking to forgive, correct?
That's just ours, so,
That's
yeah,
just
total
ours.
it's about $1.6 million. Or
1.2 for Elmhurst.
upwards, yeah, so total about $1.8 million.
Okay. And so what we're looking to do is forgive the debt of the 1.8 total, 600 for us and 1.2 for them, in order to be able to fund a capital improvement project plan here.
So what I'm asking for this year is just to agree not to accept that they could put the money for the year 2024 into capital improvements, so that we can continue to have this discussion and come up with a long-term answer as to, do we defer this in perpetuity with the exception of if they sell it? Do we try and set up a payment plan back to both entities so that overlaps with their capital improvement program? And that would take a deeper dive into their total budget and what their projected revenues and expenses are for the next 5 to 10 years.
So did we budget for this? Did we budget for forgiving that debt?
We are not anticipating those revenues coming into our pocket this year. The bigger issue is, what I don't expect to have an answer for, nor do I want to try and hurry and get this answer, is what would we put on in our annual audit if we actually said we forgive these now and forever. So that's not what I want to do between now and January 1. Between now and hopefully, the next meeting or so, we can give Sugar Creek an answer as to what do we want to do in 2024.
Do we have a number on what we would get in 2024?
Do you know what the revenues over expenses were last year in the budget for Sugar Creek?
No, but I can certainly provide the actuals from last year and the budget proposed budget for next year.
Okay, if we could get that, that'd be great.
Yep,
Okay,
I'll
thanks.
send them out tomorrow.
Okay. Trustee Patrick?
Thank you. Maybe Director Gola, maybe you would be the person to direct this question to, I don't know. But myself included, but there's a lot of other residents that really don't know the history of the Sugar Creek Golf Course and how it is that it's organized, how it's broken up. I know that there are two separate entities. You have the Park District of Elmhurst in an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Villa Park to maintain the golf course and so forth. My questions are, that board, who's on the board? How's it, who consists of the board? And then as far as the budgetary decisions, how is that operated? Who makes those decisions and who's done that in the past?
Yeah, the Sugar Creek Board is similar to our commissions, where they're an advisory board. They can't spend any money. They make the recommendations to both parent bodies. We've come up, when we did the pond restoration project, we came up to get approval from the village, and Elmhurst went to the park board to get approval. So there's a Sugar Creek Board, and it consists of 7 folks, and we rotate chairmanship. This year, I'm the chair, and when I'm the chair, there's 3 residents from Villa Park that are on the board, myself and 2 other residents, and Elmhurst has 4 residents on the board. And then they're on a fiscal year, May 1, or actually the golf course, in May 1 it changes. So then Elmhurst is the chair, and I will be just a board member, and then we'll have 4 residents on the board, and Elmhurst will have 3 residents. And then, similar to our commissions, the staff makes requests, and then we'll come to the board, our boards, our parent body boards, to get board approval. So it's an advisory.
Are those positions appointed?
Yes.
okay, so they're not elected, they're appointed positions, and you said there is a switch in the chair every how many years?
Every year.
Every year, the chair switches between a Villa Park body and then Elmhurst Park District.
Correct.
Okay, so all of the decisions pertaining to budget is coming from an advisory board from Sugar Creek. So, so then who are the entities, I guess, involved with the day-to-day outside of the residents? Would that be yourself and a director of parks, or of the district there?
Great question. So the Elmhurst Park District is the administrative body of the golf course.
Okay.
So they do, all the employees are hired through Elmhurst. They're on their payroll. They're on their IMRF. So they take care of all the workings over. So
the
Elmhurst,
day-to-day.
all the day-to-day, they do the hiring. I'll be involved, like 6-7 years ago, our golf pro left. So we're involved in the hiring of the golf pro, myself and the manager over at Elmhurst. And then that was approved, and Elmhurst Park District hired him, and they work under the Park District. But they are the administrative body.
Okay, so just so I understand then, is that as the administrative body, they are dealing with the day-to-day operations. Now, if a problem exists or presents itself, then they must go to the commission, or the commission, to bring that forth to the board to make a decision?
As far as
budgetary matters.
If we had an issue with staffing, if there was an issue, years ago, we had issues with staffing, so I would bring it to the attention of Elmhurst and talk to Elmhurst, and as the administrative body, they would handle the necessary changes to the staffing, or what have you. Or if there was some need of some staff consultation or those type of things, they would be the parent body that would handle that.
So what I'm getting at, though, is there's an operation that goes forward. It's essentially a business that's being run as a golf course here. The day-to-day administrative process is managed by the Elmhurst Park District. So if there is a leaky roof or something along those lines that they can identify that is an issue, how does that get solved, an issue like that?
It would basically, as the administrative body, Elmhurst would take that under control. The employees at the golf course would say, we need to replace that roof or repair the roof, there's a leak, and they would go through the process as a park district would to hire a roofing company, and that would all go through Elmhurst.
So then, as far as Villa Park appointed members of the commission and yourself go, what say do you have in the decisions that are made by Elmhurst on operations that affect us as well?
That's a great question. For the day-to-day operations, it's more Elmhurst handles that.
Okay.
And years ago, we even proposed that Villa Park become the administrative body, because Elmhurst has been the administrative body probably since its inception. I'd have to go back to the history books to find out. But we even proposed that, okay, now it's the village's turn to be the administrative body.
So okay, thank you. So essentially, though, then we need to essentially then those budgetary issues, like what we're dealing with right now, as far as this forgiveness. Then, in your opinion, would you say this is just either a mismanagement of previous budgets, or is this that we need more accountability as a village of Villa Park in the day-to-day operations of what they decide to spend the money on?
Yeah, I don't want to go there as far as, I don't want to indict anybody as far as a mismanagement of the golf course. When I came here in 2010, and that's the operations, the revenues generated by the golf course didn't match the expenses.
Okay. Okay.
And, you know, the payroll and IMRF and, you know, all the other things. There was some of the stuff we went without, buying a new mower, what have you. So what we tried to do was look for other ways, and we suggested this to the staff and to the Elmhurst officials, to find other ways to generate revenues. You have a clubhouse, start doing more, and they have been. I mean, they've improved. They've been doing more banquets. Staff has been more attuned to replying to customers where 13 years ago, they weren't making phone calls back. So we've kind of addressed some of those issues.
My last question then to you is then, in your opinion, do you think it would be more beneficial for the village to consider proposing that we take over the administrative operations as opposed to Elmhurst Park District?
That's something we'd have to discuss. I can't answer that. That's something I'd have to discuss with the village manager. Years ago, I was a proponent, well, you know, they were the administrative body years ago. Maybe we should become the administrative body. As far as the debt forgiveness, there was never, ever like a capital plan, ever. You know, they didn't have, Kevin Goss is the superintendent, the golf course superintendent. He had to weld frames back on. He had to make do with what he had because there was never any extra money coming into the golf course. Now it's a lot better because people are playing golf a lot more. So, and 10 years ago, we had them get a little bit more conservative on their spending, and they were really, they projected their revenues to be higher, and we're like, well, you have to go by your actual revenues from the year before, not if you budgeted $1 million to bring in revenues, you don't automatically raise it 10% when your actual revenues were $750,000. So, you know, they were doing the budget based on not the actuals.
Yeah.
So we got them to be more conservative. We tried to bring in additional revenue sources, that type of thing that I mentioned a little bit ago. But with a debt forgiveness, it just allows for the maintenance garage is in real need of replacement, and that's going to be a $1 million price tag, you know, more probably. So I think this is a way to with Elmhurst, you know, as proposing the debt forgiveness, is to take that money and put it back into the golf course.
So then my last comment, and I guess it's more of a request to the village, is that the village has these conversations and exploring whether or not that would be a feasible option for us as a village to take over the administrative duties as opposed to Elmhurst Park District. Whether that's feasible, whether we could do something like that and or manage it, that's my request. Thank you.
Okay, let's count. Thank you. Trustee Kumar.
I also wanted to make a comment on that. I think, I feel that as a village who is forgiving and we're on equal grounds, there should be equal liability and equal, on either side, equal vestedness in this project. And I have a feeling we should not be a puppet process if they're making all the decisions on what gets changed and we're just, you know, in it and saying equal. So there is some problem. I see that the board itself switches 3 and 3. I think that's very equitable, but if all operations are being run by Elmhurst completely and we don't have that also equitable, what you spend on and what you think is most important may not be the same, right? And you know what you maintain, and maintenance itself is what keeps things in good shape, and their maintenance may not fit our vision as a village, and we need that to all be on the same page. So I'm a little concerned about the lack of a capital plan. I'm a little concerned that we're not involved actually in some of the administrative aspects. And then there's a lack of equality, even though this is supposed to be a equal venture between Villa Park and.
Well, and you know, if there was equality when golf was down, and we weren't bringing in the revenues, the equality would have been that we would have had to split we would have had to cover the operational expenses with Elmhurst Park District. So if their operational expense, they covered operational expenses to the tune of $1 million, well, in all equal fairness, then we should have kicked in $500,000 to cover that operation.
No, I understand that, but this is, I wasn't on the board at that time.
Right,
and I
right.
might have kicked in at this point. Right now, I can only think from this perspective at this time. I want going forward. You can't, I mean, unfortunately, I can't say 20 years ago this happened. That was 20 years ago. We got to start from today, and we have to be equitable from now, and it has to be fairness in terms of our debt forgiveness, and whether we can afford it versus they can afford it is also a question, right? It's always about what's best for our village. I mean, I have a lot of friends in Elmhurst. I'm grateful that they were very generous, but at the same time, we got to see if we can be that generous or if we want to be. So I want to start from this day forward in terms of that equitability, in terms of action, because I wasn't there then, so I can't make that, well, I was in Villa Park, but I wasn't as vested on it.
We'll have, there has to be some more discussion on that, because with it, as an administrative body, you know, who's overseeing, you know, you can't have the staff taking direction from 3 different people or 4 different people.
Yeah, I admit you can't take direction, but you can split duties, or, you said there's 2 processes. There's a renting process for the place, there's the administration of the grounds. You can always split certain aspects of that if necessary. So I'm still a little.
Yeah, well, we'll try to get some numbers.
Yeah, can we
See
get
where
some
we're at
numbers
on
on
these things.
the,
We can share last year's budget. You know, we come in, you know, we come to the board for the budget, and you know, it shows you the expenses. They do have a plan every year to purchase equipment, and with the last 4 or 5 years, we were able to purchase equipment. So, and the superintendent over there had a vehicle or equipment replacement plan for years, and he's got the information as far as how old the equipment is and when its lifespan was and all that.
but they also sold a piece of property on there to purchase some of that. Wasn't it something sold on that property?
We sold the house.
Right. So some of it,
early this year.
Yeah.
And
so
it did. It went back, so we had additional revenues to purchase some more.
do some of that. So
Right.
it's not like, you know, people didn't accept like something to get things moving. Yeah.
Okay, so you'll get us some numbers?
I'll get you the proposed budget. That's, it was going to come before the board anyway, but I have the proposed budget that we worked on at the last Sugar Creek Board meeting.
Yeah, and then what we're not expecting to get this year, or
Right.
2024, that number.
Expected revenue.
Yeah, that didn't include any, it just included the revenues and expenses from the golf course.
Okay, Trust Patrick.
Just one more bit of information that I would like, we don't have to do it here, but if you could get it to me, is whether or not the village was billed for some of these debts between the years of 2008 and 2011. And if we were, I would like to know what those were. That's it.
Yeah, I don't believe we ever received any bills for the operations that they were covering.
From 2008 to 2011, in that time period?
At least, I'll have to check on 2000. I'm pretty sure that's the case, yes, but I'll double check for you.
Okay,
We can also get you the names of the board members and also the amount that, the exact amount that the Elmhurst Park District's invested and is looking at deferring.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that's why there was such a large number from, you know, covering those operational expenses, because they never asked for any reimbursement.
Yeah, I definitely think that information paint a bigger picture, a better picture for us, so thank you.
Okay, good, thanks. Okay, we will move on. Item 13, appointment to commissions. We have none. Item 14, village clerk's report.
No report.
Okay, village trustees report. We will start on my left. Trustee Kumar.
I was just happy to see Halloween, all the people decorating. It was very good. Kids came out even though it was a freezing day. I do want to say a couple words. November 15th, they are having a drive. You can drop off cans and stuff for Thanksgiving drive that by November 15th. It's run by Villa Park Office Equipment, and is there a box manager, Harline's? Downstairs. Please support our families by donating to that box, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Corkery?
No report this week.
Okay, Patrick?
Thank you. I appreciate that. So again, I will piggyback off of what Trustee Kumar said about Halloween. I think we've been doing a really great job. I think Halloween is a fun time in Villa Park, and over the last few years, it seems like more and more people are celebrating. Examples like the scarecrows that are going up. I think this is a great thing. One of the things that I am going to request of our Community Fund Commission is to explore ways on how we can make Villa Park a Halloween destination, meaning how do we become known as a Halloween town? And again, this is just an exploration of what could we do to further this or make Villa Park on the map known as, hey, we want to go celebrate Halloween in Villa Park. A lot of the businesses in town as well, they have the costume contest, the trick or trunk events, and as a parent with 3 young kids, I can tell you that we all appreciate the efforts going into this. So again, I'm just going to request that the Community Fund Commission look into how we can make Villa Park a Halloween destination. On top of that, I just want to wish everybody a safe and good Thanksgiving. It's coming up next week. We have a lot to be thankful for, and just wish my best to everybody out there. And again, lastly, thank you to our first responders out there on the daily, keeping us safe here at home. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Cordova.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's next week. Want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I do want to call out that on the website we have local food pantry list here. Just kind of running down some of the closer ones in Villa Park and Lombard. We have Christ Covenant Church. We have the Outreach House. We have this Disciples Food Pantry at Christian Church of Villa Park. We have St. Vincent de Paul Society Food Pantry in Lombard, York Township Food Pantry in Lombard, Elmhurst Yorkfield Food Pantry in Elmhurst, Addison Township Foundation Food Pantry in Addison. So there's going to be a lot of families in need, not only just for Thanksgiving, but for the next couple months. So if you're so inclined, by all means, feel free to donate to one of these local food pantries and support a family in need. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, go to the Village President's report. It's nice that Trustee Cordova brought up the food pantries. That was a suggestion that we got at Coffee with the Board. Resident had suggested we put those on the website, and talked to the village manager, and he talked to Donnie, our public information officer, and he got it on there like the next day. So it was a great idea from one of our residents, Coffee with the Board. I'd like to give congratulations to the VFW this past Saturday, which was Veterans Day. They had a very nice ceremony at the VFW. Had a very good crowd. It was nice having it on a Saturday where a lot of people could attend. We had a 102-year-old World War II veteran there, John Mellon, who lives in Villa Park. And it was really great to see him. We had a couple of Korean War veterans, and then a lot of, obviously, Vietnam, Korea, Gulf War veterans there. I'd like to send a thank out to Tony Odo and Michael Anthony's. They donated pizzas. Tony opened up just for the VFW for that day. He's usually not open until about 4, but he opened up, and he donated a bunch of pizzas. And also Dawn from Cuppy's Bakery, she donated all the donuts there. So it was a really nice ceremony, and a lot of residents there. It was good to see that. This Saturday, November 18th, from 9 to 12 is electronic recycling here, next door to Village Hall at Public Works. You have to be a resident, but they'll take just about any kind of electronic device. And as Thanksgiving is coming up, that means the turkey trot is coming. This Saturday, the 18th, and Sunday, the 19th, from 11 to 5 will be pre-registration at the Knights of Columbus in Elmhurst on York and Villette Streets. You can go to dangibbonsturkeytrot.com if you want to sign up online. You can sign up in person. And the race starts at 9 o'clock on Thanksgiving morning. We'll be starting over by the Elmhurst Post Office. So come on out and celebrate with 8,000 of your best friends. And I'd like to also say thank you, or say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Have a safe and enjoyable one, and again, try to remember those who have a little less fortunate than us, and try to remember them when you're doing. We'll go on to the village manager's report.
Don't have a lot, just want to follow up on an email I sent. Please reserve Saturday, February 24th on your calendar. That's a target date, unless people cannot do that, for the strategic planning session with CP2 and Corey Blash, who you guys met meeting ago. That will be the in-person or on-site. There may be some other stuff. There'll be definitely some other stuff for staff and public and the Board of Trustees to do before that. And then, of course, that will be, we hope that will be a guiding document to update what we have done on strategic plans. The last, I've done 2 in the last 10 years. This would be keeping with that 5-year cycle. And if that's a problem, please let me know as soon as possible. Yes, ma'am.
How does the public get involved? Can you say something?
There will be surveys and that sort of thing, but
No, in the meeting itself.
the meeting itself, there will be, though, as any,
Is there a process by which to get involved?
there will be a process by which to get involved.
Okay.
But the crux of the process is for this board to set its priorities. So that is the, I mean, it's definitely want to encourage public comment, but yeah, it's something that hopefully we'll have some of that. Well, there'll be some focus groups ahead of that. There'll be some surveys ahead of that. So there'll be opportunities to get both depth and breadth of public opinion, which can feed into that meeting. But the idea is to have a better process, and then that will set goals which will have further input as we start to implement them. So. And, the budget process, next meeting will be the budget public hearing on the 27th with introduction for adoption on the 11th, and then a final adoption on the 18th, because there has to be a 30-day period between the publication of the document and the final adoption. Cannot be adopted before the 18th, but we hope to have most of the issues settled before that meeting, so that that's a quick and easy meeting, because that's 2 weeks in a row. December 11th and 18th. What did I say? September?
I didn't hear.
Oh, I don't know. It's getting late and getting warm in here. Anyway, so that's all I have. Again, and thank you, everybody. And I mentioned it in my weekly report, but I just want to thank Michael Guerra for rewarding somebody in his staff for good public service, good customer service, and that's something we want to look to doing more and more. And the actual individual who got the award was Dan Coulter, who some of you, he has a job where he takes meters in and out of, he replaces the water meters, gets a chance to interact with the public a lot. We've got a lot of positive comments about him. We've got a lot of great people who work in this village. Some of them get direct public comment, and Dan does a great job. So I don't want to, but he did certainly earn that reward. We got a lot of other people doing a lot of great jobs. So anytime you single somebody out, somebody says, well, what about me? We got a lot of great people out there. So, but I appreciate the fact that we're looking at customer service more and making that celebrating those specific instances when we're excellent.
Okay, item 18 on our agenda is the executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 regarding litigation when action against, affecting, or on behalf of the village has been filed and is pending before a court, or when the village finds that an action is probable or imminent. And we have a motion to go into executive session and then adjourn out of executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Cordova, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar? Clerk Kornecki, please.
Hey, trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes, so we will go into executive session. We will adjourn out of there. So everyone have a great Thanksgiving, and we will see you back here November 27th.